The Princess of Wales has said it is a relief to be in remission from cancer. She visited the Royal Marsden Hospital yesterday to thank the staff for their exceptional care. During her visit, she spoke to patients about the impact her cancer journey had on her family. She said, "I feel like it's sometimes harder for the loved ones around us." So when it comes to illnesses and talking to family and friends, I think that sometimes can be one of the toughest parts of navigating your way through any kind of a health crisis, illness. You don't want to upset anyone around you that you love or bring angst to them and worry. It's very difficult. That'll resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, and you and I share a friend, Helen, Titty Gritty, I call her. She had almost an identical situation. Her 3 children were the same age as Kate's. And when that video came out, when she was telling everybody, you know, she was straight on the phone on our WhatsApp group and she said, "I just can't believe this. This is like, it's like living it again." And she sort of changed things and the way her approach to her kids, because she'd started her cancer treatment, I believe she'd started. And she came home one day and her son was in his room really upset, and she said, like, "You know, what's the matter, what's the matter?" She was keeping it all sort of quiet, saying everything was going to be fine. And he said, "Well, I've seen Daddy's book, I've seen it." And you know what it was? Her husband had been doing DIY and he'd read how to die. It's how to DIY. And she said from that moment, she thought, "I'm never going to keep anything from them, because they'll hear things, they'll see things, they'll make their own assumptions." And she promised him there and then that I'll just be honest with you with everything that's going on.
Yeah,
but it for sure, you know, so difficult.
But I do think as kids as well, like, you just look at your parents and you think, well, they're going to live forever. And it doesn't dawn on you. I remember my mum and I sat and watched this movie. I was really young, and it was called Who Will Love My Children? And it's a true story about a lady that had 10 children. She got terminal cancer and her husband was an alcoholic. He wasn't able to look after the children if she was to pass away. And the whole film is her basically finding suitable homes for all of her 10 children. So it's not even like losing your mum, it's being separated from your siblings and going to, like, other families. And I think that was the first time that I kind of looked at my mum and thought, oh, this is a possibility. Like, this could happen. And it was the most devastating realisation as a young person, because it's your worst nightmare.
Of course it is. And it's the sort of age-appropriate way that you have to speak to children, isn't it? You know, if you've got very young children, how do you sort of make it that it's understandable for them, that they can, in a positive sort of way, you're not wanting them to sort of become sick themselves with anxiety.
Because you're dealing with the shock yourself of what your situation looks like, and you're mopping up your grief. But actually, you do have to, in some way, be able to put on a brave face for your children. I did come in for some criticism when I included my children in my miscarriage documentary, and I still stand by that decision, because in the same vein of what you were saying about having that complete and utter honesty with your children, there's only so much you can hide before children start getting the wrong end of the stick. I grew up in a family, in a household where there were so many secrets, and I'd be listening at every door I could, trying to put 2 and 2 together and often getting 5. And there's some things you just cannot hide from your children. And I think if you can do it, if you can deliver whatever the news is, in this case it was the loss of babies, if you can do it in a way that they can understand it, I wouldn't say it's user-friendly, but it is child-friendly, child-appropriate. It does mean that you are arming them against the world and showing them what life looks like and giving them the tool set, which ultimately, that's what life is about, isn't it? You know for sure that life is going to give you knocks left, right and centre, and it's about how they deal with that and giving them the tool set to be able to deal with those grievances.
I think that's what Kate was saying. There is no manual, though, is there? There is no manual. There isn't a tool set. That's the problem. It's like everyone has to tackle it in the best way they can. Because
I understood it when she said last time. Do you remember when the video was? That's nearly a year ago now, isn't it? And I got it when, you know, obviously we all know so much about their lives, so you can't hide anything. But maybe you still want to protect your children when you're ready to do that conversation. But the rest of the world knows. So how do you send them to school? Like, there's you can understand how difficult it was. But even just from a mental health perspective, perspective, Nadia. I know, like, you've spoken before about how you've dealt with that at home and talking to your daughters.
Well, we've just always been really open about all of it. Maybe sometimes we've shared too much, I don't know. You know, being a parent is all about saying what you've done wrong to yourself all the time. But I couldn't imagine a world where we would be keeping that secret, you know. He's 20 years sober this year, and Maddie was just 2 when he went into a rehab. And it's just so much part of our conversation all the time because we are in a very drink-friendly world, aren't we? So there's no way we could hide that. If he just said, "Oh, I just don't drink," how would we have? And also, it's a lesson for them as well.
Yeah.
And also with his mental health struggles, again, we're really open about that because with depression, a child can get really, really scared and blame themselves if they see a parent down. So if you explain that it's got nothing to do with them and unfortunately it's to do with the chemical makeup of the brain or whatever, it helps them feel more secure. So they're really grateful that we've always spoken about it. Yes.
The way to do it, isn't it? If you can, it was wonderful to see those pictures
brave.
yesterday. I
Very
think,
brave.
very
so
triggering, I guess,
lovely.
to go back to the hospital, but also very uplifting to see other people and to have those conversations, like a common bond, isn't it? I think
it's such an amazing hospital. I go there a lot with my friends, and it's so lovely. It's really weird that you kind of feels a bit like home when you go in. It's the strangest feeling. My friends say that as well, because I think it was really lovely. I got the vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.